Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Well, the wild weather is expected tonight with roads already closed around the south of the state. For more now, we're joined live by reporter Sean McComish. Now Sean, you're looking a little cold where you are. How are conditions tonight?
Good evening, Kim. Not warm at all here down on the Hobart waterfront. This morning, Hobartians were grumbling that the snow hadn't arrived, but this afternoon it arrived in plenty around the suburbs, as well as the rain. Now, as the snow starts to settle this evening, road closures is adding up. Among them, the Tasman Highway north of Fingerpost Road and the Huon Highway south of the Sandfly turnoff. Hazardous conditions have also been reported on the Midland Highway, which has just been closed near Melton Mowbray. The Arthur Highway at Primrose Sands and Lakeleak Road also have hazardous conditions. Tonight, the Bureau of Meteorology expects conditions to become worse. And in developing news, TasNetwork says 14,000 customers are now without power. And as we'll hear later tonight, police and emergency services, the SES, are warning drivers to really pay attention to the conditions and really to not drive if you don't need to. Kim?
Well, Tasmanians across all corners of the state have been treated to the snow show, with locals in elevated areas waking up to decent falls overnight. As we just heard, authorities are warning the wintry conditions will worsen tonight, with strong winds, heavy rain and snow predicted in parts of the state.
Euphoria at Cradle Mountain, but for the littlest ones, their first trip to the snow wasn't received quite as well. Tasmanians from near and far came to marvel at the snow spectacle.
We're from Wynyard. We thought we'd just come up for a drive today. We've never seen it this thick and powdery before.
Up from Hobart. Came up yesterday and there was a little bit about, and then last night, it really came down. It's beautiful.
There were plenty of snow fights and snowmen to go around.
Throw snowballs, pulling icicles off there. It's really cold and some of it's really soft. Very fun. That it's really pretty.
Cradle's locals also lapped up the winter coating. It was a similar story around the state, Mountfield National Park blanketed in white.
The blue sky cleared and the surrounding mountains are gorgeous at the moment. They're covered in snow. There's been a really good fall in the alpine regions, and so much so that we actually are looking forward to an announcement, or pending announcement, that the ski tows may actually run this weekend.
Roads were coated in the Central Highlands this morning as drivers braved the icy conditions. This snowboarder took advantage of the powder, shredding Mount Wellington. Blessington in the state's north received a generous dusting, while locals woke up to a white Waratah. This afternoon, Richmond's residents were treated to light snow flurries. While there was plenty of excitement by the snow today, the Weather Bureau says the best is yet to come, with heavy snow predicted for elevated areas tonight.
Potential for snow on places like the Hazards at Coles Bay or Mount Moriah or Moriah Island, Patrick's Head up in the northeast.
But we're being warned to brace for wild weather tonight, with heavy rain and damaging winds of around 100 kilometres an hour set to lash the east and south.
The conditions are going to be quite dramatic overnight. And with the high winds, generally you'll come potential for power lines to come down, trees to come down, a lot of debris on the roads. So we advise people, please drive to the conditions, drive slowly and avoid driving if you possibly can.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmanian News.
Qantas says freight flights will continue to Tasmania after staff at its Melbourne Airport Operations Centre contracted coronavirus. The Transport Minister is reassuring the public other freight links remain safe following yesterday's border bubble backdown.
Works have been slow, but Michael Ferguson says the wait is worth it. From Thursday, developers can finally put their hand up for a parcel of Macquarie Point.
We know that people have been patiently waiting for some of these milestones to be achieved, but we've done the hard work.
This is an exciting next step in Macquarie Point coming to life.
But the state government was today digging in on its border management, standing by its tough decision yesterday to scrap the travel bubble.
They are strict enough, and they're as strict as they need to be because we need our borders to be really tight.
Labor arguing the plan still isn't watertight, wanting mandatory testing for all essential workers. Right to information documents revealing the list of more than 200 essential people let in include everyone from bricklayers to wind farm workers.
Our borders aren't closed. There are people coming in every single day, and this is why it's so important that we have really robust processes to make sure that we are checking people on arrival.
If we were following Rebecca White's advice on border control, Tasmania right now would be a suburb of Melbourne.
And as COVID wreaks havoc in Victoria, Qantas has worked to allay fears, confirming freight to Tasmania will continue despite operations pausing at its Melbourne terminal. Flights will run via Sydney, and space will also be used on Melbourne to Launceston toll services. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, the final designs have been released for a new Bruny Island ferry terminal. The plans include the construction of a second ferry berth and a dual-lane loading ramps on both sides of the journey, as the popular destination struggles to cope with rising traffic demands. The government says this will allow for increased ferry crossings, with 2 new ferries also on the way. Construction is expected to start later this year to be completed by March 2021. Help is on the way for Tasmanian farmers impacted by last summer's bushfires. New primary producer grants will provide up to $75,000 for those significantly impacted. The support will be available to farmers living in those council areas hit by the fires, including at Pelham, Fingal and Swansea. The grants will open on August 10. New treatments for multiple sclerosis could be one step closer, with record funding to bolster research efforts. $10.5 million raised across Australia will be invested in enhancing the brain's defences against the condition. The research has the potential to help those living with MS in Tasmania. We have one of the highest incidences in the world.
It'll go a long way in securing our researchers so that they can penetrate much deeper into trying to find a cure.
COVID-19 has affected the way we do research. We've had to close down laboratories because of things. We've had to stop clinical trials. So it has put a brake on what we can do.
The money will also help to train the next generation of researchers. The state government is confident a decision to deny AFL footballers an exemption into Tasmania won't hurt the state's bid to host games in the future. North Melbourne was scheduled to play 2 matches at Blunston Arena next month, but yesterday's announcement on border restrictions has caused further headaches for AFL power brokers. The government says this decision won't affect upcoming contract negotiations with the Kangaroos, whose long-term deal with the state expires at the end of next year.
Our focus is quite squarely at the moment not on an AFL team for Tasmania, it's about keeping Tasmanians safe.
The Kangaroos are reportedly looking to play the revised fixtures in Darwin. Tasmanians who have experienced homelessness firsthand have shared their personal stories as part of a new art exhibition. The I Am Somebody multimedia project features a series of podcasts and photos, all aimed at breaking down stigma. Each recording tells a different personal story, sharing the reality of what it means to be without a safe or stable home.
That you're not alone. That, you know, all these negative things can happen, but it's a part of who you are, and it's not going to be the whole of you.
The project was launched today in Hobart as part of National Homelessness Week. Well, this weekend's top of the table TSL clash with North Hobart is looming as Launceston's first major test this season. The side remains undefeated, but is wary of the Demons' young strike power.
It was a match that tested Launceston's combat as much as their composure.
Comes in, kicks it, there it is, there's a steadier.
But in the eyes of the captain, the scrappy win over Lauderdale had plenty of positives.
We laid 80 tackles, which was really pleasing. And to get the win, to be 4-0, it's just a nice way to start the year.
Dylan Riley, elusive and clinical in the forward pocket, booting 4 majors to set up the win over last year's runners-up. But it will be their defenders under the spotlight this weekend. Containing North Hobart's young strike weapons remains the challenge.
We know it's going to be a very tough contest, and they're second on the ladder for a reason.
VFL recruits Jack Sandrick and Baxter Norton are among the biggest threats on their home turf.
And we can hopefully get the ball on the outside and try and get some inside 50s really quickly.
The Demons entering the top-of-the-table blockbuster fresh off a bye, but according to the coach, not underdone.
I mean, you never know. Like, I personally think the group probably needed a week just to freshen up a little bit. It's going to be a big challenge, but we're not shying away from it. We can't wait for the weekend.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
Diamondbacks have retained third place in Women's Premier League hockey after winning a high-scoring affair against University. The women in red flew out of the blocks and held a commanding 2-goal lead late into the final quarter, but University fought back, locking the game up with 5 minutes to go before a late clincher sealed the Diamondbacks' win.
Sort of let ourselves down with defence, with letting them get back to 4-all, but no, we played well.
Felida has fully recovered 2 weeks after copping a nasty blow to the face.
Good evening. Well, as expected, today was a bit of a doozy. It started out with a -10 at Liaweenie, and you may have seen from our earlier reports tonight the effects of the icy, cold, raw, sharp, frigid, bleak weather. You could definitely say it was polarising. Hobart a maximum of 7, 6 below the August average. Launceston and Devonport 9, Burnie a high of 10. Flinders Island and St Helens the only other highlighted centres that reached double figures. King Island, Low Head and Strawn 9, Ooze 7. Friendly Beach is a high of 4 degrees after barely moving from its overnight low of 3. So here we have it, the complex cloud pattern over our state that really impacted the southern half of Tasmania today. Very cold air over Tasmania. The north, however, had many periods of sunshine. The cloud from this system also striking southern parts of Victoria and South Australia. Another low near WA also has an associated cold front over Western Australia. Tomorrow the low moves to the east, replaced by a ridge of high pressure. A low pressure trough moves over inland Australia, bringing widespread rain. The southerly aspect of the winds continues tomorrow, reaching 35 to 40 knots over eastern waters, swells up to 4 and even 5 metres over the east, which is also very rare. A severe weather warning for damaging southerly winds for the east and southeast, a gale warning for all coastal waters except the southwest coast, a strong wind warning for remaining waters. Also a bushwalkers alert and a road weather alert continues into tomorrow. A warning to sheep graziers in the east and a number of initial flood watches for the eastern catchments, along with the Derwent and Huon rivers. Now, tomorrow, cold again I'd imagine, 8 degrees for Hobart, rain and wind easing later, 8 for Geeveston, Bothwell a top of 5 degrees. Launceston looking to warm up to 10 after -1 starting the day, 11 the top for Devonport, rain easing from Cressy with 9 the maximum. Burnie tomorrow partly cloudy, 11, 9 the top for Strawn with a shower, Curry on King Island. The winds will ease there, 9 degrees for St Helens, 9 also for Swansea with some heavy falls in the east, Orford a top of 8 degrees. On Thursday, another cold start, light showers mainly over the west and south, dry and sunny though in the north. Frosty in the north on Friday, fine there apart from a light shower over the south and east coasts, and on Saturday that same weather pattern should continue. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, sunny but cool in Adelaide, showers for Melbourne, cold in Canberra, sunny weather further north. However, Alice Springs may see some wet weather. And it's wet weather here at the moment too, with very cold conditions right across the state. Interesting too today, Kim, to see so many people out at lunchtime buying takeaway food. I think the big menu item was iceburgers.
Oh, or snow cones. Anyway, on a serious note, a further update on the wintry conditions. Now, the Midland Highway has been closed from Tunbridge to Baghdad due to snow and ice. Police urge people tonight to drive to the conditions and, if possible, please stay off the roads tonight. To find out more about those road closures, head to the Police online community alerts page. That is all your news for now. Good night.